Here's the rack from the deer that I shot, 28 inches. This is kind of a good deer for this because the antlers aren't quite symmetrical at all. Your eyes stick out too far and it looks like your deer got kicked in the nuts. Taxidermy is bondo and bondo is taxidermy. Hopefully now you'll have some of the tools that took me years to acquire to mount your own critters. Welcome back everybody on the How to Mount a Whitetail Deer series. Step 2 is we got to pull the cartilage out of the ears, turn them completely inside out, sew the holes, get them ready for the fabric ear liners and bondo. I already started on one ear. In fact, I was filming that and I looked at that after my daughter woke up, realized I can't see from the video, from the camera 2 angle, what I was doing, so I adjusted some things. So now you'll be able to see in this camera here what I'm doing a little bit better. So we're going to do the other ear, very similar to the first one, exactly the same way, just a different ear. And then we'll prep it and get it ready to go. So, like I said before, get yourself a really sharp knife. This one here, I buy from Mackenzie. I think they're like $8-9, super cheap. So you'll turn the ear completely inside out like this. And then you're going to make an incision from the top of the ear to the bottom. Now you're just cutting through the cartilage. You don't want to cut through the skin on the other side. So take your time with this and just work slowly. So here we go. See if I can hold my hands in a way where you can see kind of what I'm doing here. And the trick with this is you can kind of see, like, it's almost blue, but you'll see the skin on the other side as you cut through the cartilage. It'll kind of give you a little indicator here on when you know you've gone through it all the way. Now, if you cut through completely, it's not the end of the world. Depends on how bad it is. We could sew it up later. But you'll see here what it looks like. Yeah, so you'll cut through the cartilage here and expose the skin underneath. And then I take my fingernails and just kind of get behind it. And you literally just start separating the cartilage from the ear. This one has a nasty gouge in it, probably from whoever's fleshed it and salted it. Sometimes deer just have, injuries that can cause them to be kind of a pain when you're doing the fleshing, salting process. But I send all that out. I don't do that in-house because I choose not to. Okay. Well, this one's separating a little bit easier than the other side. I made a nice hole on the other side. And what I talked about on the other video is sometimes when you're pulling this up, there will be areas where the hair starts to pull through. And if that happens, what you'll have to do is take your knife and just kind of help it along. You'll just kind of make some cuts to leave the hair. You'll separate the cartilage from the skin and leave it. That was an example. This isn't happening right here. This ear is actually pulling pretty easy. But I'll show you on the other ear here quick what that looked like. See right here you can see where it's starting to pull some of the hair through. So I just kind of help it a little bit. And then you just keep right on going. All right, so we're back here now. Going down towards, like from the tip to the base of the ear is actually easier. Usually you cause less damage going that way than going out towards the tip. you can be a little bit more stout here. This skin seems to be a little bit tougher this way. Slippery. Okay, when you get towards the base of the ear, I like to make a cut. And the same thing you're doing on when you go from the top of the ear to the bottom of the ear, you just want to cut through the cartilage down to the skin. And then you're kind of like filleting the cartilage off of the skin underneath. And when you get there, it'll peel nice and easy. Of course, this one is presenting a challenge because of this rip right here. So we're going to go the other way with it. We're going to come from this area here where it's ripped, and we're going to go towards the base. So once we get underneath it, we should be able to pull it pretty good. Like I said before, I'm sorry about this table. It's terrible. It's just what I have at the moment. As you separate it, get to the other side, you can either pull on it. That usually causes problems. So what I like to do is just take your knife and slowly work it off here. Okay, now once the cartilage is off, that is the first part of getting the ear ready for bondo. The next part is very crucial. You have to turn the ear completely inside out, meaning you have to run your knife along this edge of the ear, like the top edge and the bottom edge right here, so that it's completely turned inside out. And this way that the bondo can fill that space between the ear liner and the ear. If you don't, what I like to call that edge is a crispy bacon edge, and it looks terrible in a mount. You'll see it's kind of wavy and not like a crisp, firm outside edge. So this part is the slow, tedious part. If you've done it a few times, you'll get the hang of it. You'll probably watch me rip through this real quick. That edge has a tendency to roll where the cartilage is. Early season deer are much more difficult than late season deer to do this. But you'll get the hang of it here once you get rolling. But I take my knife and I clean up all the cartilage. You'll feel it around the edge of this and around the base of the ear. This is all so that there's a nice smooth transition from the ear butt that we make out of clay into the skin and the body of the form. That way there's no clunky hard edges. Everything has a nice smooth transition. This is all just meat that got left in there. Well, I just made a hole, but it's not bad. Okay. Now there's a pretty heavy edge here. This is right on the edge of, like, the top leading edge of the ear. Okay, let's check the bottom for that cartilage here. That feels pretty good. We could take some of that off. Take that off. Okay. So now here's where we're gonna do what I was talking about. So you take your fingers, and I put my pointer finger in there, and I feel the edge of the ear. There's a hard chunk of cartilage here. I don't know if it's cartilage or meat or something that got left in there. I take that out, kind of see it with the knife. Okay, there's one edge right here, and this is the edge that we're going to follow all the way down the tip of the ear. And you want to feel it between your thumb and your pointer finger as you work down the edge of the ear so that it is completely inside out. You'll see it kind of open up a little bit. Trying to hold this so you can see it with the camera what I'm doing. Okay, we're just working our way towards the tip of the ear. And I'm just rolling that cartilage that's left over, kind of almost where the skin comes together and then forms that hard, crisp edge of the outside of the ear. Remember, this is to prevent the crispy bacon ear. We don't want a bacon ear. Looks terrible. I see a lot of bacon ears. You watch this video and you can have no bacon ears. Now you can use a tool, like something like this here. It's kind of like my molding clay tool. When you get towards the tip, you just kind of stick it in there and roll the skin back and forth. Not too hard. You don't want to make a big hole in it. You just kind of want to use it. And this will ensure you make it to the edge of the ear. You just kind of play with it and just kind of roll it back and forth. Okay, like that. Now we'll come into where I was before here, which was this side. Let me see it better over here. You see that little hole I made? Completely okay. So I'm actually going to make a couple holes about the same size on the tip of the ear so that when I do fill the ear liner with bondo and I slide that ear liner in here, you'll actually be able to push the bondo and the air that gets put in out. You'll see what I'm talking about when we actually do the next step of bondoing the ears. Okay. Now this edge is hard for me to get my finger in there, but it's the bottom of the ear and it's easier to feel than the top. To make sure you get that edge completely turned all the way over. Get the tip of the ear. Okay, see those little holes? Little holes in there? Totally okay. That is where we will push out bondo. Just keep on going here. Okay. There's the edge here where the ear comes down. I've seen people do this with a Dremel tool. See that hole there? That's okay. Don't need to fill that. Bondo will come out of that hole and that skin will pinch shut and you will never see it with the hair. I've seen people do this with a Dremel tool and it takes them forever. And I still don't think they get all the way through the cartilage because I've gone in after them and fixed it for them. Just use a knife and get her done. Clean up all these pieces that are hanging. You want to have the smoothest transition you can. Now there's a little bit of cartilage left on the tip of this ear here. You want to pull that off. You don't want any of that in there. All that cartilage is going to do is dry, hard, and cause possible issues with the transition between the mount, or transition between the ear liner and Bondo and the mount. Okay. Then lastly, this ear's done since there's no holes, and I'll show you how to sew the holes in the front side because I did leave one on the other ear. Last thing you want to do is pull the veins out the back. I do this quick and easy. You can kind of see them as they travel up. Most of them start down here at the base, so I just take my knife and I push against my middle finger underneath and I just kind of work them off. Now when you get up to these ones, you can kind of pull them. You know, they're all the way up here, you can just pull it out. That one's stuck, so we'll just come back here. That one comes through here. There we go, we got it. Pull it out. Pull it out. And you're pulling all these veins out because it's just another thing that's going to dry in there and cause your skin to shrink. And, you know, the main thing you're doing here is you want to just get your skin as thin as possible so that when it does go to dry, it doesn't dry in a way you don't intend it to. So by removing these will tendency to pull in. Just take them out. I don't know if other people do this or not. I've never watched anybody. Like I said, this is just how I mount these suckers. Get that little last piece. Okay. And that there. Now, okay, this ear is done. So you'll want to complete that on the other ear as well. Now I'm gonna just not waste all of your guys' time and show you the same thing over again. But what I am going to do is this hole here, I'm gonna sew that hole up and I'm gonna sew this hole up. We're gonna sew those and then we'll carry on with finishing this ear like we did with this one. And then we'll dry them out with some paper towels. And then I'll show you how to put ears in on the next video. I'm gonna show you how I sew a couple holes that I put in the ear. Now this is the show side, and I'll show you. So I put the holes in the show side of the deer. So here's one hole. I'll get this open so you can see it. It's just sawdust and stuff in there. All right, so one hole. Right there, you can see it right there. One hole and two holes. Now this is the inside and there's white hair. The skin's also, it'll dry kind of like tannish. So I use white thread, kind of like an off-white thread for that. You don't want to be using brown thread. You're gonna see it. Simple as that. So bear with me as I get older. Not that old, but as I get older, my eyes have a harder time putting the thread through these needles. So let's take the needle. I got a small one that I almost dropped. Okay, got a needle, thread. Like I said, it's off-white. Don't use dark thread on the inside of an ear. If it's on the back of the ear, who cares? But on the inside, don't do that. Okay, now let's see if I can get this needle threaded. It's the hardest part of my day right here. Oh, got it. Okay. So, pretty easy stitch. You're just going to go in here on the bottom. Take a little bit of skin, not a whole lot. Just a little bit of skin to hold the thread in there. Okay, tie this. Go around, tie a knot, go around again. Tie a knot, just like your shoes. Okay, done. Now, what you're going to do is just taking, a little bit of skin, and you'll do like, maybe go in, do 2 first, and then pull it tight. Don't pull too hard, but snug it up. You'll kind of bunch the skin up a little bit if you pull it too tight. And that's not what you want. This one here is going to be much easier to sew because it's a straight line than the other ear. But simple, you just back and forth. And I'll probably speed up the video here in a second. Okay, you got it all done. Now to knot it, I just go around the skin, kind of loop it, and then just make a knot. Go back through. You can do it twice if you want. Just kind of wrap it around your thread, like so, and then just pull it tight. Okay, and then we're gonna cut that one. Now we gotta sew up this other hole that'll be more of a pain in the ass. It's kind of peeled off, so some of the skin should overlap. It's kind of annoying. In fact, I think this one you might be able to get away without even sewing it. It's more so I could just show you for demonstration, because oftentimes the bondo will just kind of adhere to that and push it next to the fabric ear liner, and it won't be a problem. Because the skin's all there. It's just I'm going to sew it so you can kind of see how I do this. Same thing, you're just going to start it, tie a knot, and then work your way, and I'm going maybe like 2 to 3 millimeters at a time from where I'm going in one side of the skin to the other side. And then, yeah, this is really thin. Like Kleenex, wet tissue type of thin, so I'm not pulling very hard. You just have to pull the skin together, essentially, is what I'm doing. Don't yank on this, because it is going to cause you more problems. Okay, now I'll turn it like this, keep on with my through there. Made it to the end, so you're going to knot it the same way. Go around your loop, then back through your thread once, twice, pull her down, and then I go through again just to really make sure that knot's in there, so it doesn't come out. Okay, and then cut it. Boom. Now I still have to turn this one completely and get all the rest of the cartilage off, but you just follow the steps on the first ear that we just did, and then you'll be ready to bondo.